Once upon a time, there was a group of dads who started playing D&D. This is their story.
Hello and welcome to D&D with Dads, the Patron game. We are once again in the Forgotten Realms of Faerun, in the region known as the Vast. And the group has been working now for about a week in the small village of Tavalar, working with Shem Tetra to establish a stronghold and to investigate the mysterious Mage's Tower. The group has gathered a bit of information, but there's certainly a lot more to be discovered. Meanwhile, two adventurers, Tuko Musashi and Humphrey Humblebottom, have been working together for a long time. Humphrey, being a part of a faction of wizards that have remained very mysterious, has often hired Tuko to be his assistant and bodyguard on many missions to infiltrate, missions to acquire information, and missions to obtain very rare magical items. And over time, these two adventurers have become acquainted, and they work very well together. And so, Nathan, you will be playing Humphrey Humblebottom. Tell us a little bit more about Humphrey.
Oh, I would love to. Humphrey Humblebottom is, it's funny, he comes from this world, this rough world of these wizarding wars, and he was an agent, he was a soldier, but he was a spy, and he really focused his skill set around illusion magic, things that would help him infiltrate and acquire information. He's not very much of a fighter. He's got a few tricks up his sleeve, but mostly it's getting his own butt out of a tight spot. So he's had enough of this, right? It was never for him. He did this as a means to an end, but effectively all he wants to do is retire in some calm place and do children's magic shows. That's all he wants to do. He wants to impress the little kids, pull quarters out of their ears, make little dragons appear in front of them and blow fake smoke. That's what he wants, right? But he doesn't have anywhere near the funds to do so. So he reluctantly and with a roll of his eyes takes on these adventuring tasks, and in hopes of getting that final score, then he can just call it quits.
Indeed. And our newest cast member of the program, Dave, welcome, and tell us a little bit about your character, Tuko.
Well, Tuko's probably the opposite of Humphrey. When he was like 3 years old, he lost his parents, and under mysterious circumstances, he doesn't really know what happened to him, but he survived on his own for almost 10 years. And then he met up with a master that took him under his wing and taught him the ways of swordcraft and weaponry, honor, sacrifice, all those things. And he really loved the rigidity and black and white of what's right and wrong. And he really admired his master. He was trying to overcome some of the challenges he had growing up because he didn't have a family, so he was a little maybe crazy from those hardships. And then around just recently, something happened to his master, and he's not sure what. He's been killed or captured or what, and that he has vowed that he's going to go restore the honor to his clan and his master, and but he has no idea of where to even start to begin. So he's just been walking around, trying to take up odd jobs and right wrongs, and that's how he ended up meeting Humphrey and keeping him well.
And as you guys have been adventuring, your last mission left you in the northern port city of Ilrafan. And you guys spent a few days, much deserved days off, carousing, hanging out, having a good time, and haphazardly kind of picking up information and rumors. And you had heard of this party who apparently was led by a powerful wizard, and that they had, men at arms who were serving them, and that they were headed east to the village of Tavalar, their goal being to conquer the legendary, enigmatic Mage's Tower. So this kind of piqued your interest. And Humphrey, you've heard some things about the Mage's Tower even before your arrival in Ilrafan. And Tuco, you've heard a few things about the village of Tavalar, particularly hearkening back to your early days of training with your master. And this region is a dangerous region. The different branches of the Earthfast Mountains near Tavalar include the Troll Hills. And oftentimes there's more than just trolls in them there hills. So you know that there are dangers, certainly, and you've heard that there's also plenty of potential opportunity. And Humphrey, you actually, as you've kind of pondered this while hanging out in the port city and kind of combining your knowledge, it occurs to you that if you were able to somehow team up with this ambitious group and possibly conquer the Mage's Tower, it's conceivable that you could maybe make that big score that could finally allow you to retire in comfort. And so with that in mind, you and Tuco head out on the road towards Tavalar. Your travels there are pretty uneventful. At one point, you smell some trolls, but you kind of tactfully avoid them, not wishing to get into unnecessary entanglements that wouldn't bring you profit. And when you arrive at the village of Tavalar, you find that this village is extremely guarded. It is surrounded by a tall wooden palisade, basically just big, thick, like trees that have been, carved up and spiked at the top to create this wooden wall that is at its lowest point 10 feet and at some points about 15 feet in height. And there's very, very, very suspicious guards who basically ask you a series of questions, including odd things like, have you been sick recently? Have you been bitten by anything or anyone recently? Where are you coming from? So upon answering honestly, as they scrutinize your answers, they finally allow you into the village of Tavalar. So you guys find yourself in the village. There is one really good inn, and then there's a tavern that has like a barn that's sort of like a flop house where people who don't have money to sleep in beds can sleep. So being the classy gentleman that you are, you head over to the inn. And walking into the inn one morning, you see a group at a large circular table. And they consist of, well, why don't you guys describe yourselves? Erik, go ahead and describe what Durant looks like.
Okay, so Durant has sort of long, messy hair. Looks like he doesn't really own a comb or use it much. And sort of, he wears this symbol of Denair, which is a candle giving off light with a specific holder on his armor and also on the shield that he has strapped on his back. He wears a priest's vestments. He's kind of scrawny, so he doesn't look like a physical threat all that much, to be honest. Yeah, and I guess that's the main physical description.
Seated next to this this priest is a much smaller fellow, a forest gnome. And you notice this forest gnome has a platter of sausages and eggs and 2 mugs of ale in front of him. And he's just going to town and chattering and talking with everybody around him. And to the right of him is another handsome fellow. Andy, go ahead and describe Riff for us.
So Riff is kind of a medium tall, lanky fellow. He's got blonde hair going to about here. He's got blue within blue eyes, and he looks very relaxed. Maybe too relaxed. You'll see him often talking to the little forest gnome and pointing and laughing at someone at the other end of the room just to get him to look that way, and then he sneaks some food off of his plate because he's always messed with them. And so laughing a lot and not taking anyone too seriously.
And seated next to that fine gentleman, you see a woman wearing full plate armor. Her gauntlets are just set down on the table as she is eating some porridge, and she's got like a mug of steaming hot coffee, and she has long curly red hair. And she's kind of like laughing at and talking with the 2 fellows next to her, and they're kind of just chattering about something you can't really hear from the entrance where you guys are. And then on the other side of her, you see a very rare sight. You see a cat person known as the Tabahi, a race that is not typically found this far north in the realms. But you see this cat person kind of poking at the food and kind of studying it curiously. So you see this table of people gathered around this round table, and there's a couple open seats there that are not currently occupied. All of the other tables in the inn are also packed, and a lot of the other tables are filled with what you assume are locals, villagers, laborers, and lumberjacks, a lot of hardy, brawny-looking men who literally are wearing like tool bags around their belts and that kind of stuff. But everybody seems to be having breakfast as you guys arrive. And you are very hungry because you've spent the last day and a half on the road eating dried rations. So, Tuco, what do you...
Actually, Bill, can I interrupt and ask to clarify the hook real quick?
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure. So these guys are not the people that they've heard about, that Humphrey and Tuco have heard about.
Well, you aren't sure. I mean,
okay.
The fact is that you've heard that there was this party of adventurers who were following a powerful wizard. Now, you don't see anyone that obviously looks like a powerful wizard, although that cat creature might be, or maybe even the forest gnome. You're not really sure.
Okay.
But you do see this group that kind of stands out. Definitely stands out from all the other kind of commoners and residents of the village. They're kind of the only ones that stand out. They draw your eye. So Tuco, what do you do?
So Tuco's obviously poor and hungry, but scraggly beard, scraggly hair, pulled back into a ponytail. Wearing robes, but he's got a kind of swagger to him, and he's got a toothpick in his mouth like he's just finished this big, huge meal. But being kind of bodyguard, he's like looking around the place, trying to see who the threats are, what the options are of getting out, and just generally
make
this guy.
Make a perception check. And actually, Humphrey, you can also make a perception check.
22.
Okay.
Oh, it's not my day. 8.
Tuco, you're doing a threat assessment, and you again, your eye is drawn to the table with the forest gnome and the cat person and the priest, and you notice this strange thing, like you notice this hand creep up from underneath the table and grab a sausage off of a plate. It looks like a child.
So I talked to Humphrey and watch out for that over there.
What is that?
Yeah, it looks like a child is kind of kneeling on the floor next to the priest and occasionally just like reaches up and grabs like a sausage off the plate. And it's to be, not to be cruel, but it is possibly the ugliest child you've ever seen.
So I think I want to go and so that would be that would be Estrov's plate, right? So I'd want to go to Estrov, and this is me in hopes of you doing the accent, Bill. So I could Estrov, and it would be, I think you got something sneaking some of your food over there. Is that yours?
Okay, so you both walk up to the table. Tuco, you see Humphrey just boldly walk up to this table. Are you going with him?
I'm like 2 steps right behind him.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't seem threatening to me. It just seems like a normal.
Okay,
situation.
so you guys walk up to this table. The rest of the group, you guys see these 2 guys who you have not seen in town before. And Humphrey, go ahead and say what you're going to say.
I think you got something sneaking some food over there. Is that yours? And I'm kind of pointing to the weird arm and ugly kid that's attached to it.
The forest gnome looks on both sides, then he looks down near the priest, and he's like, well, yes, indeed. He surely is. Isn't he, Durant? Yes.
Yes, this is normal. Mind your business.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough.
Who might you fellows be? I haven't seen you around in town.
Well, I'm Humphrey Humblebottom, and this is my companion, Tuco. And I motion over to Tuco to say,
Oh, well met. Have a seat. We have a couple open chairs.
okay, are you sure that your friend over here, and I motion toward Durant, would be okay with that?
Oh, certainly. He's just sour. He hasn't had his daily constitutional yet. My name is Estrov, and this here is Riff.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you. What brings you around here?
What brings us here?
Yeah,
Shouldn't we be asking you that?
you can feel free to ask. We're happy. We're an open book.
We're the regulars.
Durant's going to make a perception check, maybe an investigation check, to see if he can notice anything about Humphrey.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
That would be, let's see here, natural 17. So perception or investigation?
Or would it be insight?
Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to determine intent, it would be insight. But if you're trying to determine just kind of like more about his character based on what he looks like or what he's wearing.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm going for.
So, Humphrey, what are you wearing?
We were just actually talking about this ahead of time. So Humphrey doesn't have any armor. He would just be wearing regular, traveler's clothes. And nothing in particular. He's got a dagger under his, tucked away but not visible.
And that was a 23 roll from me. Do I notice anything like an arcane symbol or anything like that?
I do not have an arcane symbol.
Okay.
So, well, we appreciate the invitation to join you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now we're travelers ourselves. Just trying to follow a lead and get some more information about the area. And so we thought we'd stop over and have a quick bite to eat along our way.
Oh, you probably heard about the trees. Aren't the trees beautiful up here this time of year?
Oh, they're gorgeous.
And
they're gorgeous.
They're very helpful too. We'll have to introduce you to our friend Twig later. Right now, he's getting some sun.
Okay, that's such an interesting name. Well, They're absolutely interested. That sounds really cool.
Yeah, yeah. And Acker over here, he's really good at communicating with trees. And I actually wanted to ask Acker, like, when did you learn you had this ability to talk with plants? Like, I mean, did you start with seeds, or did you just go right for like full-grown trees?
He can speak to a tree?
You
That's amazing.
The Catman kind of look up and just nod confidently, and then like go back to poking at his food.
It's very impressive. Well, my companion Tuco and I, we're really trying to learn more about the region. Have you heard of? Actually, so meta for a second. So Bill, like, would this be a sensitive topic that?
No, anything that I sent you for lore, you are willing. You can share in character if you want.
Okay, yeah. So we're learning about the area. We've heard about this tower, a Mage Tower. I don't know if you're aware of it or heard about it in the area.
Oh yeah, everybody knows about the Mage's Tower. It's up in the flooded forest just north of here.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
and I'm playing this a little close to my chest here, pretending that I'm that we don't really know much about it. What do you know about it?
Oh, I mean, it's pretty tall. It's in the middle of a swamp.
Have you been there?
Location's not great. Like as far as I know, there's only been one owner, but there's lots of rumors about it.
No, but have you been there? Have you seen it yourself?
I've not been inside the Mage's Tower,
but you've laid eyes on it.
I may have taken a glance from a distance.
Wow.
So at this point, Durant is going to make the same check against Tuco, just to get a visual sense of who he is and what threats he might offer.
Tuco's also sneaking food off of Estrov's plate.
That's a 20, 30.
You could tell by intent that Tuco is listening to everything you're saying, but his eyes are constantly darting around the room, not just at your table, but like across the room at the bar and kind of like at the windows. And he's standing sideways so he could actually see the entrance of the building as well.
Durant makes a silent note to respect the hell out of that, because that's the same thing that he's doing.
You notice that Tuco is armed. He's not wearing armor, but he is armed. Tuco, do you want to describe your weaponry that would be visible to people?
Yeah, so like I said before, he's wearing robes. Pants are kind of a mix between a dress and pants, and then he's got a robe on top, and they're raggedy. Obviously, doesn't have a lot of money, but on his belt he has two swords. A scimitar that's really, really nice, and then a short sword as well. And his hands are always close to his swords.
Okay, Durant's going to walk over and get a little too close to Tuco. Like probably within 2 feet of like invading personal space close. And he's going to pull out his dwarven short sword and show it to Tuco.
Are you drawing it threateningly, or?
No. I'm drawing it very nicely to try and show you the blade, because it's a beautiful, like, magical dwarven sword.
Stab you.
So he's holding it out toward Tuco, and then he points to Tuco's scimitar. May I see that?
Tuco draws the sword and then presents it, one on the hilt and one on the sword.
It's a lovely weapon.
For inspection. It is also magical, shines a little bit.
I see
And your weapon is.
Your sword is so shiny.
So yeah, we're having a bonding moment over swords while this conversation is going on.
Riff pulls out a dagger and he's just like, "Look, guys, I got one too." And he puts it back and he eats more food.
And then that's when I don't know if you know, there's probably a check involved in here, but I'd like to mage hand and see if I could pull it out of his hand real quick. Not like in a forceful way, just like if to try to jokingly disarm him.
Yeah, you could, like, if he has a grip on it, not so much. But like, if you want to, like, when he puts it back in his belt, you could undo it from his belt and float it.
Yeah, let's do that. I'll play my hand, if you will, pun intended. So as he puts it back, I'd like to sort of float it up and have it slowly spin around so I can inspect it. See how
And
Riff reacts
look,
to that.
boy, I can teach you how to use that weapon so that these things don't happen in the future.
Cool. Is Riff reacting at all to me stealing his dagger?
Riff uses Mage Hand, and all of a sudden the dagger that Humphrey is investigating like goes right to his throat and stops about this far away.
Humphrey will smile and say, "Touche, sir."
And then it floats back into Riff's hand. He puts it away.
That's clever.
So
I forgot that you had Mage.
So tell me, you're asking all these questions about the Mage's Tower. You seem very interested. What is that why you're in town, to investigate the tower? Yeah,
we've heard some stories, and honestly, I think that there's some opportunity there, but from everything that I've heard, it sounds like something I wouldn't want to take on myself, nor would Tuco as well. It's certainly more than just for two of us, but we're looking for the right group to see if we could unravel some of its secrets here.
I've heard of this group called the Turning Key, and are wondering if you are aware of them.
Durant will make a history check on that.
Go ahead.
That's a dirty 20.
Ooh. I'm going to say that you have heard of the Turning Key. You heard that there was this, group of ambitious adventurers who had kind of come to this region just intent on, clearing out the evil, and that they had tried to take on the Mage's Tower.
They are obviously of honorable group.
We're very sorry. Go ahead.
Yes, I have heard of them. Any group that cleanses evil has value and valor and honor.
Any idea of where we can find them?
Durant, you do not recall hearing about what happened to them when they tried to take on the Mage's Tower.
To be honest, my lore is a little lacking on that. I'm not entirely sure what might have happened to them after taking on the Mage's Tower. Using my researcher feature, would I have any idea of where to look for that information?
What I was thinking.
Unfortunately, as you've come to learn, Tavalar is not a wealth of learned men or a depository of lore. So your best bet would be just asking around from people maybe who have been in the area for generations to see if you could, kind of find out more.
My instinct would be that we should ask around town.
Well, that's fair, and I think that it may come to that. You guys certainly look like you can handle yourselves, and I shoot a little smirk over to Riff. It's certainly of interest. We've heard some rumors of a treasure, left behind by the Turning Key, but unfortunately it's in the flooded forest somewhere. We don't exactly know where, or sunken down into the bog. But I'm sure you being locals here understand the dangers that would be faced going into that. I'd certainly be interested in hearing more about this.
Is it treasures that interest you?
Treasures, I don't know if I would say it's treasures that interest me. They are simply just a means to an end. Yes, adventuring is exciting, but I am I think I am just simply done with it. I would like to just earn enough and go my way.
Well, if you're serious, it sounds like you're serious about getting to this Mage's Tower. I do have one idea that I've been talking about with my compatriots here. We're considering taking a journey to see the Mountain King to the south of here.
The Mountain King? I've never heard of that.
Yes, apparently the Mountain King knows something of the Mage's Tower. The mage who never dies.
Tuco, have you ever heard of this Mountain King?
I have not heard of the Mountain King, although I have heard of a House of the Key related to the Turning Key band, but I doubt this is related to the Mage Tower as well.
Well, I don't really know a lot about the Mountain King yet, other than something that we learned recently, and that there was an understanding between the Mountain King and the Mage in the tower. So my thoughts were, if we wanted to know more about the tower, we might want to go on a journey to see this king. And the other day I was walking in the forest, and I felt this strange breeze, as it were, except there was no wind going, and it seemed to be coming from the direction of where I suppose the Mountain King's throne might be. So that's one idea we're kicking around.
So your advice is to follow the wind?
Well, or chase the wind, whichever is easier.
What do you think, Tuco?
Reconnaissance, or we go jumping in too quickly.
Oh, what do you have in mind?
Let's go to this king that they're talking about. He has information. We should have this information before we jump with both feet.
I think I would nod. I think that's a good idea. It sounds like you guys, we might be talking to the right people here. So it seems like, the Mage Tower is something of interest to you and your party.
We definitely like to know more about what's going on in there. And we're a little bit of adventurers ourselves. We just kind of settled here a little bit longer than we usually stay in one place. But if we do decide it's a worthwhile endeavor to go into the Troll Mountains in search of this Mountain King, we could probably use some more help in that, because we have not been up there ourselves.
At this point, Durant is going to pull out the sketch that he made in his book from the last session, where he has the properties that no longer have houses, no longer have families associated with them. The abandoned buildings, as it were.
Yes.
Another potential angle here is that we have these places, these houses that are abandoned. I would suspect that some of these at least are noble houses and perhaps contain information that would be useful.
If they're abandoned, what makes you think they have anything in them at all? They would be long since picked clean by any sort of ruffians or scavengers.
I don't think so. The people in this area, something happened to them, and they've gone sick and mad.
So that's why they asked us all those questions when we came in. Well, what makes you think that won't happen to us?
Because we know what we're looking for and how to not get sick or mad.
But a disease is not something you can see. How can you avoid that which you cannot see?
We have friends that have enlightened us.
Well, we'd need, if we were to join up with you, even for a brief time, we'd need some assurance that you're going to share some of your knowledge to ensure our own protection. We're not simply canaries for you.
I mean, the fact that I'm showing you this document should be proof enough, no?
Could be part of a trap. Maybe you guys simply need someone to go in there and take a beating before you come in, swoop in all the spoils.
As you guys are discussing this, you notice that the cat man kind of goes from looking at his plate to like he just looks straight up and his eyes kind of roll back in his head. He's still sitting, but he looks like he's just in some kind of like.
You drawing his face now.
I'll make sure to move myself between him and Humphrey.
He just kind of like looks up at the ceiling. You don't see anything on the ceiling. You're not sure what he's looking up, but his eyes like roll back in his head for about 30 seconds.
Don't
Are
worry,
you
he does this sometimes.
Does this sometimes, huh? Should I be worried?
Estroff looks at him and he's like, Acker, are you okay, my friend? There's no response.
I'll take a couple steps. Well, I guess I might stand up and take a couple steps back.
Okay, now Durant is going to make a...
As you're like looking at this, you see like he's still in this kind of trance and his lips are like moving as if he's speaking, but he's not actually speaking. His lips are moving and he's like,
okay.
Closer to him and see if I can hear what he is saying.
you do not hear anything. It's literally just his lips moving as if he were mouthing words.
Don't I
medicine
have
check.
Yeah.
Sure, go ahead. You could also make an Arcana check.
Let's go with Arcana,
Oh yeah. I'll do an
Arcana check. That's a 14.
You're not really sure.
Hold on a second. I'll do an Arcana check. Oh, here we go. 24.
The Catman looks like maybe he's in the midst of receiving and responding to a sending. And as you're kind of assessing this, he like snaps forward.
And I go to him and say, "What'd you hear?" Like just sort of to indicate that I kind of realize
he's like
now what's going
surprised
on.
that you knew. He's like, I received a sending. And he looks at Durant and Riff and he says, from Lord Issa. He has requested that I go to Procamper to help him with something very important.
Can you deliver some funds to the library in Procamper while you're there?
Yes.
Okay, Durant's going to give him 100 gold.
And he nods. He's like, I must prepare to go. I will be back to say goodbye. And he gets up quickly and goes upstairs.
Well, that was strange, Durant.
Is it any less strange than other things that have happened to us?
Is he always this flighty?
Well, he was always he had definitely had a deeper relationship with Lord Issa than the rest of us. Lord Issa probably trusts him more than, well, certainly more than me, but maybe the rest of us as well.
I'm having like an amazing toothache today, guys. Does somebody want to take a look at that for me?
I guess I should do it, unless Estroff wants to do it.
Estroff is like, no, you go ahead, Riff. Oh.
That's some toothache.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know if it was meta or not.
I don't know if it's meta or not.
I don't think it is.
Okay.
But that was very coincidental.
It was. So, well, guys, I think we're up for a new adventure, I suppose. If you'll have us.
Yeah, I mean, I think Riff looks outside to see what time of day it is.
Oh, it's morning.
Okay. Well, yeah, I guess we could introduce you around to the rest of our associates, and we definitely want to. I don't know if we want to start anything today, or if we want to spend some time getting to know each other in this relaxed setting here, having some drinks maybe later on. Might be too early right now, but we can at least introduce you around to our associates. As soon as I'm done looking at Durant's mouth,
So maybe his internet dropped. That's what happened. So maybe we could spend some time asking around about this turning key and see what we can learn. Maybe ask some of the locals. What do you think, Tuco?
Yep, that would work.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Well, as you guys kind of like finish up breakfast, you see Durant excuses himself. He has to go complete his morning prayers. And he takes the small child by the hand and walks upstairs. And this is the first time you've seen the small child like in full. And the small child is very unattractive. And you're like, this is odd. Is that priest's kid? Like, what's going on there? Estroff, actually, the forest gnome, is like, I'm going to go upstairs and see if Acker needs help. I'll meet you later. And he hops off of his stool and he goes upstairs.
Is he actually a kid or just a small person?
Riff leans in and motions
for
for you
a
guys,
treat.
for Tuco and Humphrey to come in. He's like, looks around, make sure no one's listening. Okay, so that's actually not a human child. That is a goblin that I keep putting a disguise on. Because the people here would be freaked out if they just saw a goblin loose around town. So far, he mainly stays under tables eating sausages, as you've seen, and stays in our room. So I just thought you guys should know that in case you see a goblin by mistake later and you might want to kill it. Please don't.
Please don't.
His name is Blingo. I didn't name him. But, yeah, more on that later, but at least you know.
Just be cool, guys.
Yeah, just be cool.
And Humphrey just smiles, just accepting reality and nods. So, yep, this is a thing. Okay.
The red-haired fighter also finishes her meal, and she looks at Riff and she says, "Well, back to guard duty."
Yep, it's a life, Marissa.
She grabs her gauntlets and puts them on, and she nods to you guys, and she walks off. So the group of you, minus Acker, Estroff, Marissa, and Blingo, you have finished up breakfast. And as you guys finish up, Durant comes down from his prayers and he joins you. And you are free to walk around the village. So where do you go and what do you do?
Okay, well, I'm trying to figure out who might know anything about the turning key. What do you think, Tuco?
There is a king who is rumored to sleep in the highest mountains. They're Earth-vast mountains. He may know something, but he is a giant, so it could be dangerous as well.
Yes, I think that's what the others were talking about is seeing this sleeping king. Do you think anybody in town might know anything though about either the king or the turning key?
There is a lady called Sachira Moonfist. We could see if we could find her. She has had some information about the flooded forest.
Yeah, sounds reasonable. Any information that we can get, the better.
There are a number of shops in town. You know that there's also like one of the more prominent buildings is the Carpenters Guild. They have like a large guild house and a whole like yard where they do all their work. And they're prominent because basically lumber is the big industry in this area. So those are kind of places that you are familiar with, at least. Like I said, there are a number of different shops as well.
Tuco, why don't you go see if we can locate that person? I'm kind of tasking him Actually, Meta, is that the sort of relationship that we have? Or is it more of a peer?
Look to you as another master.
Okay,
So
then that's probably what I would task you to do then. Okay.
So I'm probably going to go up to the bar and ask the barkeep if they've heard of this Satira Moonfist.
Okay. Make a persuasion check. As you are new in town.
14.
Okay. So the bartender's like, well, yeah, I've heard of her, but no one's seen her around, and her family's left the area years and years ago. They used to have a farm outside of town a little bit to the east. I don't know who lives there, if anyone, but that's where her family's farm was.
The east, you say? Is
Yeah,
it safe
she
out
was-
in that direction, or
What's that?
is it safe out in that direction, or are there anything we should be?
Well, safe is a relative term around here, friend. I suppose on a crisp morning, it's probably safe. I wouldn't go out there at nighttime. Might get trolls.
Roles? So, understood. Thank you for your assistance. I go back to Humphrey and say we could try and check this farmhouse out in the east. We have time.
Okay. So I want to wait. Is Riff and Durant? Durant's back. Are we still all together?
Yeah, I'm gonna assume you guys haven't like left the inn yet. You're just kind of formulating a plan for how you want to look into stuff.
Right. And so I assume that Riff and Riff and Durant have heard all this as well.
Yeah.
You guys interested in taking a little walk?
Yeah, definitely. I'll tag along with you guys.
Who knows? Might be fruitful. So let's head out.
Since I dropped for a bit, did we resolve the toothache thing or not really?
No.
Okay. So did Riff actually take a look?
Sure.
Okay. So Riff, what you notice is that there's like a pulsing light coming from one of Durant's molars. And the molar has a very familiar shape to you.
What's it look like?
It is very similar to the birthmark that Riff has.
Riff looks into Durant's mouth and he's like, got his hand on his neck. It's like, is your tooth like aching? It's interesting. It's like pulsing this white light, and even more strange is that it's got an interesting spiral design etched into it. Did you know about this?
I mean, I was always told by my father that the tooth was something that could identify the Molarkin clan.
Huh. Molarkin, that's the first time I actually put that together. Molar.
It's a throbbing pain. I imagine it keeps pace with the pulse, and I sort of like start indicating the pulse, every time I sort of feel one. And
incidentally,
we're watching all of this.
that has become more prominent since you guys have come north.
Okay.
Well, listen to the tooth, and the tooth will set you free, Durant. So
I don't know. At this point, I think I need a dentist.
All right. You know what? I haven't done it in a long time. Riff, you just earned an inspiration.
Thank you. He's been waiting the whole season for this.
Dad
Well
jokes.
played.
Dad jokes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm watching all of this, and I'm like, okay, are you guys done inspecting each other's mouths right now?
That's just kind of how you'll get used to it. But yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'll have to think some more about that. You know, between that, your pulsing tooth and then that strange wind sensation that I had coming from the south, just makes me feel like someone's trying to tell us something, to do something, but I'm not exactly sure what, other than what we've already been talking about.
I don't know.
Well,
Why don't we, keeping that in mind, let's get to researching Humphrey and what was it, Tuco wanted to check out a farm. Do you want to come, Durant, or do you want to hit up some of those or one of those abandoned houses while we're doing that? Should we split up, or nothing could ever bad happen from that?
I think safety in numbers, maybe.
All right, well, maybe we could go out to the farm first and hit abandoned house on the way back to town.
Reasonable as any.
fine.
All right.
Yep.
I'm just gonna let Humphrey and you guys take the lead. I'm just gonna kind of tag behind and yeah.
Okay.
Luke will be on the front.
Durant, you know from the documents you've been able to assemble about the different properties that are in the area around Tavalar, you are able to discern that one of them belonged to a family with the last name of Moonfist. So you kind of have an idea where this property is. And I mean, it's like 20 acres of land. So you guys head out of the one and only gate.
Hey guys, sorry about this. Before we go, Acker wanted to say goodbye to us before he leaves town. Maybe we should go check on him and also let Estroff know what we're up to. Sorry, I just thought of that right when we were about to get out the gate.
Say farewell to your friend.
Yeah, let me just run back inside real quick. Durant, do you want to come say goodbye to Acker too?
Durant follows.
All right, let's
Okay.
go.
You get back to the inn, and just as you're getting back, you see Estroff and Acker walking out. And Acker has a whole bunch of bags and all of his items. And you see Estroff, kind of walking with him. And they walk over to the stables, and you notice that there's a carriage and it's a rather large carriage. There are 4 horses pulling it, and it looks like it's got a driver and a guard that rides on the back ledge, who has a crossbow. And you see a group of 3 people getting into the carriage, and Acker hands some coins to the driver. And before getting in, he turns to you and he's like, "Don't worry, my friends. I'm sure I'll return soon. Whatever it is that Lord Issa wanted me to do, I will find out, and we'll see each other again soon. Be careful with that Mage's Tower."
Sad man.
Noted.
Of course, our friend.
Safe travels.
We'll see you soon.
And he
Maybe an hour's late.
gingerly runs a claw across each one of your faces.
And cast Pass Without Trace one more time.
Yeah. Oh, and take care of Twig.
Right. Yes.
Oh yes, definitely will. And Riff holds up a bowl and uses minor illusion to make it look like it's full of catnip. One last treat for you, Acker.
Acker smiles. Then Acker gets onto the carriage, and the carriage rides out of town. You guys follow behind. Estroff tells you that he's going to stay behind and take care of Blingo and Twig. And he also tells you to be careful. Don't go dying on me, my friends. Be back by supper.
I mean, death is always an option, but hopefully not the plan today.
Riff takes out his lute and starts just strumming like sort of a sad, slow tune, just to
So
express his feelings with Acker leaving.
yeah, you are playing as you guys are walking. You
Yep.
get to the southern gate. You see Humphrey and Tuco there, and you guys walk out the gate.
And accompanies him.
Okay.
Nice.
You actually start walking, and it's probably about a half an hour of walking east, and you kind of come across some markers, some stone markers that kind of indicate directions, and there's like a little splinter paths occasionally that go from the main road, which is really just a big dirt path, off onto different properties along this road. And you come to a marker that looks like it is not been well cared for. It's a wooden sign painted with a family symbol on it that you're not familiar with. But you, as Durant, as you kind of reference your accounting of the different properties around the region, you're fairly certain that this must be the farmstead of the Moonfest family.
Well, this is it, gentlemen.
The gate that might have once been part of a fence line that kept in livestock has long ago rotted, but you see a dirt path very much overgrown with weeds and grass that kind of leads through this abandoned farm. Essentially, you just see crops like mixed in with tall weeds that have not been maintained, leading up to this path kind of on a slight incline. And in the distance, a couple hundred yards away, you see what looks like a farm, like a homestead and maybe a barn and some kind of a grain tower. You see these three buildings kind of up at the top of this rise in the distance.
Master, let me go scout ahead and see what is up ahead.
Durant taps him on the shoulder and casts Enhance ability to give him advantage on perception checks.
Okay. Tuco, what's your approach? Are you trying to stealth up there?
Stealth up. I want to like get along the walls and see if I can find any windows or anything to peek inside or holes in the walls.
Let's make the stealth check up to the house first.
Okay.
That's a couple hundred yards kind of moving through tall grass and weeds.
25.
Oh, yeah. So you move very quickly. You feel like whatever that priest did, you just feel supercharged. You're like at peak performance. And you make your way kind of weaving in and out between crops and tall grass, and you get up to the first ruined building, which looks like the actual home, the house, and it is in disrepair. It looks like the stone foundation is in decent shape, but the actual wood frame of the house and most of the shingles are either rotten or completely missing. It looks like the roof is intact, but it also looks like most of the shingles on the roof are loose or rotted, so you're not sure about what's inside. There are windows. There are about 3 windows on each side of the house, and then there's a front door and a back door. And as you're kind of scoping things out, you see that all of the windows have the wooden shutters, and those are all closed. They're all closed, and the doors are actually closed. So it doesn't look like people have come through here and like ransacked it, and but you can definitely make a perception check as you're kind of skulking about outside of the house.
And then what is the? I get advantage on that, or?
Yeah, Enhance ability gives you advantage on that.
Okay. 14 or 12, so a 14.
Okay. You don't see any, like I said, you don't see any openings Not that you couldn't potentially try to open the shutters, with some kind of lock picking, or possibly open one of the doors, but nothing seems to be open. You also don't really hear anything. It's very quiet.
Are there any footsteps or anything, any signs of recent activity?
Make an investigation check.
5.
I'll give you advantage on that given the spell.
9.
Yeah, you don't, as you're kind of scoping things out, you don't really see any footsteps, any hoof prints, or any kind of signs that anyone's been outside of this area in a long time.
So I want to also check around the doors and the windows to see if there's any kind of traps or anything.
Okay, go ahead and make
Yes.
a perception check.
And is that with advantage too still?
Yep.
11. I was doing great. And then
You do not see any traps. It just looks like basically like whoever was here like locked up before they left. You know what I mean? Like all the wooden shutters for the windows are closed and latched from the inside, and then the front door and the back door are all locked. Now there's also a barn and a stone grain tower.
check the barn.
Durant is going to go for the grain tower.
Okay. And then just so I know, where are Riff and Humphrey?
Riff was just watching to go up there, and he'll go off with Durant
Okay.
to the grain tower.
Humphrey, you see Tuco kind of skulking around the house. What do you choose to do?
I guess I don't know. I think Humphrey's going to go. Humphrey's going to go with Tuco, I suppose.
Okay. So the three of you guys start making your way up. Durant and Riff, you guys kind of split off towards the grain tower.
Yeah.
It is, it looks structurally like it's in the best shape of all the buildings. I mean, the stonework is very weathered, but it looks structurally sound.
Okay. Durant is going to investigate the opening to see if it's possible to enter the grain tower or what state the inside is in.
Okay.
That is a 22.
Okay, so you see that the main door is not locked or closed. It looks like it's about not halfway open, maybe a quarter of the way open, like where you could like, slide in basically. And like literally like weeds have grown up around it. So it looks like it's been open or left open for a long time. And the wooden door itself is very weathered and like kind of like the wood is like swollen from moisture over time.
So does it appear that I could open it wider, or is it sort of swollen to the point where it's immovable?
You could, yeah. I mean, it would be a minor effort of strength, no roll required.
Okay, yeah. I guess Durant will attempt to open the door.
With your enormous passive perception, as you're about to go open the door, you hear like a growling from inside.
I'm going to gesture back to Riff and anybody else who can see it.
Okay. Riff, you see Durant kind of like hold up sign. Humphrey, you were at the house with Tuco. And you guys are kind of studying the front door, and you see Tuco kind of examining the locks and the door. And out of the corner of your eye, you see Durant and Riff over by the granary. And you see Durant was kind of walking towards the door, and then he abruptly stops, and he holds up a hand to Riff.
How far away are they?
They're about 60 feet away.
Okay.
Riff, what do you do?
I pull out an arrow and get it ready in my short bow, just holding it there in a ready pose.
Okay.
Just waiting for Durant to continue or whatever. What
It
is
looks like
Durant?
they're going to be going in. I'm going to start walking over towards them.
Okay. Durant, what do you do?
Look up a spell that I don't quite remember off the top of my head.
Humphrey, are you moving into towards the grain tower with Tuco?
Yeah. Humphrey is pretty risk adverse.
Durant is going to cast Shield of Faith on himself.
Okay.
So a shivering field will appear around him. It'll have a yellowish glow as if from the light of a candle. And it'll appear to emanate from the symbol of Denair. And now he's going to attempt to open the door further after that.
You, as you again approach the door, you hear an even lower growl.
Shit,
Oh,
that's without
I
trace
have
right now.
Another idea. Do I want to do it? I'm going to give other people a chance to do things, and I'll come back to me in a minute.
Hey, Riff. You at this point would also hear the growl.
Okay. Is there like a window? Like, could I go around to see if there's a window or anything? Or is
No.
it just the one door that's here?
It's really just the main door. It looks like there might have been a pulley system at some point that led to a window towards the top, but it looks like it rotted away a long time ago. Like there's no rope or anything.
All right.
You could climb the tower to the window if you wanted.
No, I don't think I'm gonna try that. I'm just going to use minor illusion for a sound and make it like as far, like inside the door, as far against like the other side of the room or the wall, just like a sound like a rock, fell in there or something, so that in case there's something that's noticing us, maybe it'll get its distracted.
Okay. You hear the sound that you created, and you hear the growl become a bit deeper and kind of turn into a roar, and you hear some commotion inside.
Is this loud enough that we would hear it as we're
Oh
approaching?
yeah. You hear it. You're still, 20 feet away, but you hear it.
Okay, then I'm going to book it up to them to get as close in case combat ensues.
Okay.
I want to try to stealth, like go up really close and just kind of peek in, but stealthing up just to try to get a better look
Make your
inside.
stealth check.
Okay. Since I've got I figure it's probably dark in there. Got my dark vision. Oh, that's not terrific. That's an 11.
Well, roll initiative. Everyone.
Sorry, guys.
That's why we can't have nice
Yeah,
things.
my next move was Channel Divinity, read thoughts, but
I was gonna
guess
do
not now.
I was gonna do rope trick so we could get up there.
From bad to worse, natural 1 for
Oh my
initiative.
god.
4. And my face is right up at the door too.
7.
Durant can let me see something. Hold on.
Mage armor.
Curiosity killed the riff.
Yeah.
Since we don't have a cat here anymore.
Okay, initiative. Sorry, Durant, what did you have?
10.
And Riff, what did you have?
4.
Oh no. And Tuco, what did you have?
18.
And Humphrey, what did you have?
7.
7?
Yeah. I want
Wow.
to talk about it.
Some things don't change. All right. Tuco, you see Riff kind of sneaking up to take a peek. And you see the door burst open and a enormous claw, like fur arm with huge claw, swipes out towards Riff.
Oh God! And I pull out my swords. Beast! And I'm gonna rage.
Okay.
And I will...
Rage is activated. You get 1 attack because that is your bonus action for this round. Next round, you'll be able to get in your full 2 attacks.
And I'll attack with my scimitar.
Okay, go ahead.
19.
That's a hit. What damage?
Would that have been sneak attack?
Yes.
I'm within 5 feet of
Yes.
someone else. Would be,
Well, more importantly, you're attacking it before it's attacking. So
yep. 21.
21 total damage?
Yep.
Okay. All right, then. Now it attacks. Riff. Does armor class 24 hit?
Yeah, pretty easily.
Yeah. Okay. For 8 damage, as a claw rakes across you with surprising speed for the size of the furry arm that's swiping out from the darkness within. And that is all it can do unless it leaves its cover, which it's not. Durant. So what you see right now is a large furry arm of a beast with enormous claws, which has 3/4 cover inside of the stone tower, swiping out towards Riff. And you are up, Durant. What do you do?
Okay, let me ask you something before I do it. So if I were to channel divinity, read thoughts, and then chain that into a suggestion spell, would I be able to do that in the space of 1 turn and close the distance, or would I just have to choose to do
Is
it?
channel divinity bonus?
I'm not sure. Give me a second to look that up.
I mean, distance isn't a problem. You're like 5 feet away. So it's really more of a question of action economy. While you're exploring that option, Humphrey, tell me just what you'd like to do, but let's not make that happen yet.
Firebolt.
Okay, so definitely let's not make that happen yet because Durant might be doing something, but hold on.
Okay, hang on. And of course, the site does not want to load that I am stealing this from. So
Humphrey retreats.
each channel divinity. I'm going to say it uses an action to do the channel divinity.
Okay, so you could channel it.
But I wouldn't be able to cast a spell in this turn. It would just be getting the information. Okay. So, I mean, first of all, I'm going to turn myself into as much of a meat shield as I can and throw myself between it and Durant. And Riff.
Okay.
I am Durant.
And this is going to, channel divinity is going to give you the detect thoughts.
Yeah, I'm going to do read thoughts with that.
Read thoughts. Ooh, you're so lucky. No, you're not. You're not lucky.
Oh, I made the save. Fantastic.
You feel like this is not an intelligent enough creature for you to use read thoughts on. AKA, if the creature you choose has an intelligence of 3 or lower or doesn't speak any language, the creature is unaffected.
Fantastic. All right. Well, I know what I'm going to do my next turn, but I don't have anything else I can do this turn. So
Humphrey, roll for Firebolt. It's time to burn.
Actually, can I use sleep?
Can you use what?
Sleep.
Maybe.
What if I say please?
You certainly could.
Okay. Yeah, let's do it. I'm sure this is
So are you casting this at first level, second level?
Roll an additional. We'll do this at we'll do it at third level. What the hell? Let's get this done.
Okay. So when you cast the spell using a spell slot of second level or higher, roll an additional 2d8 for each slot above first. So you're going to roll an additional 4d8, and this spell gives you 5d8. So that's 9d8.
I'll just do it in Google, guys. Don't worry. 31. God, what a shitty roll. Okay.
You cast sleep on it, and it does not go to sleep.
Wow.
More than 31 hit points, friends.
More than 31 hit points. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Which brings us then to Riff.
Fireball.
So just to be clear, I'm at sort of this doorway area, and I see a big hairy arm with a claw. That's all I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any like nearby trees or boulders within a 30-foot run from the thing, so I can at least get out and draw this thing out, and just so we can all see what it is?
Oh, it's not coming out at you, but it's swiping out at you from inside. There's a barn 30 feet away. There's the house 60 feet away. There's trees probably 90 feet away.
Okay. Well, I still had out my my short bow, so I'm just gonna like run back, 30 feet and turn and fire at it, if I can do that. Ooh, finally a better roll. That would be 15 plus 6, 21 to hit.
That's a hit.
Okay.
Roll damage.
4.
Okay. Your arrow sticks in its arm as it pulls its arm in and kind of roars again in anger. Tuco, you're up. Now,
Tuco.
I will tell you that because its arm is no longer just dangling out, that your attack options are going to be a little bit strained. So you can attack it. You can. You may attack it.
Do we need to attack it? I mean, if it's just in there.
Or you don't. It's up to you.
How many people are close to it?
Well, Durant stepped in between Riff and the creature and the door, basically. So he's within reach. He's the only one in. He's actually, you and Durant are the only ones in reach, because Humphrey's back because he cast a spell, and Riff was up there, but then he withdrew. So you and the priest are the only ones in reach.
I want to make a lot of noise, bang my swords together, and then back up to just out of his reach, and then ready in action.
Okay.
In case he comes out, I want to attack him. And I say to Durant to step back a little bit so that there's not just one target.
Okay.
Is that like a taunt? What's the dynamics for that?
It's I'm going to make a roll, which I just did. You do this, and you don't see anything swiping out. You hear the growling again, very loud, from inside the granary.
Yep, I'm just going to ready in action. If he comes out, I will attack. Otherwise, see what happens.
All right, you are readied. Durant, your turn.
Okay, Durant is going to take a step back, keeping himself between the creature and Riff, and he is going to then cast a command spell. And he's going to say, "Come."
What is that saving throw I must make?
I believe
Wisdom. Wisdom is not a strong suit of this creature. All right, let me see. Wisdom saving throw. So he has a +2. That's it. And what is your spell save DC?
14.
Oh! He refuses your command.
He will live to regret that.
You command him to come out, and he just roars in response from inside of the granary.
That's got to be a nat, right?
No, it was a 17, but he's got a +2. So,
Nice.
yeah, the creature just roars. Humphrey.
I know what I want to do. What Nathan wants to do. Trying to play
fireball,
right? But like I'm trying not to be as impulsive, and that is not what Humphrey would do. Humphrey is his strengths are non-confrontational, so he fireballs when he gets panicky.
Okay.
So he's not panicky here. So everybody's backed up away from this thing, right? Nobody's in reach.
No,
right.
That's not.
So
Durant is still in reach.
okay, so if Durant's still in reach, I kind of want to.
Yeah, I said I took a step back.
Oh, okay, my bad. Yeah, everybody's backed up.
So are we effectively out of combat now?
No.
Okay. Like, then I want to use my turn to say, hey guys, should we just come up with a plan here?
This is wise.
All right, now you're out of combat. The thing is growling inside. Whatever it is clearly doesn't like you being near it, and especially didn't like when you tried to open the door. You guys are all safely, let's say, like 30 feet back, okay? You notice that it simmers down a bit. It's not roaring anymore, but occasionally you hear like a growl, like as if just to let you know that it's there.
What do you think that thing is? Oh, could I do, I don't know if it's an Arcana. Is there like a check that I could roll to see if I would recognize this? What would that be, a survival?
No. I would let you choose between either Arcana or Nature.
Well, then it would be Arcana for sure for me. So
I'm going to say that based on the very...
hey, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. What'd you get?
I got 21.
Okay. You don't know exactly what this is, but you're pretty sure that it seemed to be not magical so much as just a more rare, very large type of beast.
I got a very good swipe at it, and then the sleep spell did not put it to sleep. So it has pretty significant hit points, and our goal is to find out what happened with Satchia. We really need to engage this, or should we look at the house or the barn for them?
Well, whatever it is, it doesn't seem to want to come outside. Does it maybe averse to daylight? Is there anything we could do? Do we have any way to make bright light inside there?
Well, I could burn it down.
I do. I mean, I can make it as bright as day in there.
Yeah, give it a shot.
I mean, that's one idea. It really doesn't want to seem to come out. I mean, all we know is that it's got an arm.
So you guys have been chatting, and this thing has not made any appearances outside of the granary.
We want to see if it gets upset by us going into other buildings, maybe?
That's what I think. It hasn't been attacking us, so why do we need to attack it?
Okay.
It attacks us out of defense.
So let's leave it alone for the moment. Let's explore the rest of this and come back to it if we're ready.
Yes.
Okay.
House seems to be locked, but no obvious signs of activity. I haven't gotten to the barn yet.
Hey, Bill, could I use Mage Hand to open the door from the other side?
Open the door to the granary?
Yeah, the one that's locked.
No, the house doors are
The
locked.
house, sorry.
You'd have to be able to see.
Is there a window that I could look around?
Yes, there are windows, but they're shuttered. So the short answer is no because of sightline.
Okay. I mean, if these are abandoned, can I pry open one of the shutters?
Sure.
I mean, I guess I could, in theory, if I'm going to go that far, I might as well just kick down the freaking door.
You could force open anything. You could pick locks. Now, the barn is the building that you guys haven't checked yet.
Durant is going to walk to the barn and take a look. Maybe Tuco takes the other half of the barn.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll go with them.
So the barn is probably in the worst shape, structurally. Okay. All of the wood is just cracked and rotting. The roof is like collapsed in many places, like just open to the sky. Whatever was in here at some point is long since rusted. If it's like any farm tools, just rusted out. You see stalls where there must have been horses. You see some very old, dry, rotted hay, like here and there. If anybody wants to make an investigation check, there is a hayloft as well. Like there's a wooden ladder that goes up to the second floor. So,
but there's no like root cellar.
You could look around, make an investigation check.
All right, yeah, I'll go with the investigation check. That's only an 11, so.
I'm here. I might as well make an investigation as well. I don't have very good at it, but natural 20.
Okay. So, as you guys are scoping out the main floor, you see that there's a ladder that goes up to the hayloft, and then you see like on the other end, the far corner of the barn, there's not a ladder, but there's like what looks like a trap door above you, like to where the hayloft would go, and there's like an old rope.
To the trap door?
Yeah, like as if maybe if you pulled the rope, it would open up the trap door.
About the hay down or something.
By the way, Riff is standing by the entrance to the barn, never taking his eyes off of the granary
Okay.
to make sure the thing doesn't come out.
Just as an FYI, as everybody's gone to the barn, you're like everybody's farther away from the granary. You notice that the howling stopped, but now the growling has stopped. So you guys, the rest of you guys that were searching the main level, that's pretty much all you see. You see a ladder going up to the hayloft, and then in the far corner, you see a rope that's kind of hooked up to a trapdoor.
I motioned to Durant that I'm going to pull the rope and to be ready if anything comes down.
Durant pulls out his shield and makes sure it's in front of him.
Okay.
I'm going to pull it, see what happens.
All right. You pull it, and it appears to be you pull it, and it opens up a trap door, and the trap door has a ladder that is cut in half and hinged, and it looks like you could pull the ladder down from this trap door and use it as a way of getting up into the hayloft.
Okay. So I tell Durant, why don't you go up the other ladder and I'll go up this one. And if there's anything up there that would be at it from separate sides.
Seems reasonable. Durant goes along with it. Goes over to the other ladder.
Durant, remind me again, what kind of armor are you wearing?
I am wearing the dwarven breastplate.
Okay. All right. You go up this creaky ladder, and like every step you take, you're very conscious of the fact that this ladder could just collapse, like it's old. But you make it up to the hayloft, and once up on the hayloft, you see that most of the joists are also very old. And you're kind of very carefully walking along this hayloft, and you see that there's not just old, dried, kind of musty, mildewy, moldy hay, but you see bedrolls, as if like maybe 6 bedrolls, as if people were maybe sleeping up here at some point.
Are they relatively fresh, or are they decayed
No,
with age?
no. They're also kind of mildewy and rotten, as if they've seen many seasons of this. Tuco, on your side, you go up your very rickety ladder as well. You make it up into the hayloft, and you see you find like a little area that looks like maybe this is where people were eating. You see a few like wooden crates with just, on the bottom, just like dust, like they've been cleaned out long ago. But you do see a couple empty water skins, and you see a couple buckets.
And there's nothing up here but dust and
You guys can make investigation checks.
yeah, might as well. 3.
Seems to be my number tonight. 11.
You guys search all 6 of the bedrolls. You search through the crates, the water skins. There really isn't anything.
I guess let's go back down and check out the house.
Okay. You guys make your way back down. Again, creaky ladders, but you get down.
In the house, is there a chimney or anything we'd be able to get in through that way? Or someone small?
There is a stone chimney, but you would have to have somebody extremely small. If anybody has the ability to use thieves' tools, you could pretty easily choose from flipping the latch on the wooden shutters or trying to pick the locks. Riff, make a perception check while you are kind of standing guard. You are muted.
19.
Oh, so you're kind of keeping guard. You hear them going up the creaky stairs. You kind of like look, and then you look back towards the granary, and you see an enormous bear head. Like, but not a grizzly bear, like quadruple the size of like a massive bear head peek out of the door and like sniff and then like go back inside.
Boy, wouldn't one
biggest-
of our druids be really helpful?
It is
right
the
now?
biggest bear you've ever seen.
Interesting.
And it like you saw it poke its snout out and like sniff and then like go back inside the granary.
Okay.
On the way over there, are rations, is there like any meat in rations?
Sometimes there's like jerky. Other times it's, you know, grains, dried grains, or, you know, dried fruit.
Does anybody have like raw meat that we could try and throw to draw it out? I don't
Is
think
carrying
ration-
around.
I can do a thing. So I bring my hawk out.
Okay.
This is the hawk with no name,
Yes.
and I tell it to go hunt for some kind of prey.
It
Didn't know if we had any Blingo rations or something.
It returns in like 3 minutes with a squirrel. Like there's ground squirrels. Like, I mean, this is an abandoned farm. There are rodents everywhere. So it comes back in moments. It drops the like paralyzed, still squirming ground squirrel at your foot.
Duco takes out his swords and cuts all the fur and skin off, so it's just a bloody piece of meat.
Yeah.
Throws it in front of the door is open to the granary, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Throws it in front of the door to see if that will draw the bear out.
Good question.
Is he hungry enough for a little tiny squirrel?
You see the enormous paw come out and just claw the little chunk of meat back inside.
Guys, is that a
Right.
bear? That's the biggest bear-like thing I've ever seen.
At this point, Durant is going to burn his second channel divinity to pick up Thieves' Tools proficiency.
Okay.
I have these proficiency, by the way.
Oh,
I'll let you save that slot.
okay.
All right. So nothing else happens with the bear, Riff. It takes the meat, but it doesn't come out.
Can I cast a cantrip if I am invisible?
Sure.
Depends.
So-
I mean, if it's an
Are you
attacking
invisible
spell-
because of a spell?
I am, yes, if I cast invisibility, I am
Right.
concentrating up to 1 hour.
Yeah.
Could I
depends on
do
the spell.
prestidigitation, or could I do firebolt, or
No. Firebolt you can't do because that's an offensive spell, so that would deactivate your invisibility. I would argue
that.
I would argue that you could act well anytime you attack from invisibility, it blows your spell.
Okay.
So I would say that something like prestidigitation you could do while you're invisible because it's not an offensive, it's not an attack.
So I could create like sparks or a flame or something.
Sure.
I'll have to think this one through. I was hoping the firebolt would work because I would just shoot a firebolt at its ass out of nowhere. But
Conceivably.
oh well, okay.
I can try and jump up. Bill said there was a window at the top, pulley system. I could try and parkour up to the top up there.
You would have to do athletics though, because it's not just like a little bit of a wall run. It's like 30 feet in the air.
No, I could do rope trick. Let him climb up. 60-foot rope.
Okay.
That doesn't really work that way.
Oh, what am I missing? What? I thought it just creates a rope.
No, it is a much more badass spell, and you need to read about it.
Okay, fair enough. Then I could do fly on
It
him.
creates a pocket dimension in which you can rest for an hour with 8 of your friends, 7 of your friends. It's rope trick is badass.
Okay, well then I will just do fly on him so he can get up there.
Okay.
But I mean, do we run?
Fly
do we
up.
want
Here's
to?
what happens. I don't really care how you do it. This isn't rocket science. You can climb up or you could fly up. Either way, you get to the top of the tower and you look down and you see a giant dire bear, a big dire bear, and it has 3 little cubs, and it has a big mound of branches and leafy beddings, and that's what you see. You have come upon the makeshift den of a dire bear and her 3 cubs.
Look around, see if there's anything even worth this fight.
There is nothing worth this fight in that granary. But there is a house.
Let's come back and go to the house.
There we go. All right.
Feels like you guys are so stupid.
No, it's fine. Tuco, make your deck. So it's going to be your dex bonus plus your proficiency bonus for your thieves
Which
tool.
one is this?
Thieves tools. So
Thieves tool.
it's dex plus proficiency bonus. Dex bonus plus proficiency bonus.
I'm gonna look up this pocket dimension BS you just let me in on.
Dude, rope trick is the business.
Rope trick.
It's like minor Leomund's tiny hut, basically.
Okay.
Well, plus force, plus proficiency. So 19.
Okay. You pick the lock. The front door, clickety click, opens. Clickety click.
I could still use this thing as a rope. What do you? I could, in theory, still use this thing as a 60-foot rope.
Yeah, you could.
Okay.
You know what else you could do? Not burn a spell slot and have your skill monkey servant climb the fucking tower. How about that?
I mean, yeah, you could use logic, Bill. Whatever.
All right. So you open the door, and this is a basic farmhouse. Like there's a front foyer. There's a like hallway that kind of goes back towards what you assume are like the kitchen, pantry. There's a nice kind of living room, and then there's also a parlor, and then there's a dining room. It's, basic 4-room configuration with stairs that go up to a second floor. This house is dusty. Like no one's been in it. It's kind of damp smelling. You see in the living room, there's the fireplace and it looks like there's some water damage around the walls around the fireplace from seepage from a roof leak. You see mice droppings, just around the floor. Go ahead and make investigation rolls because I'm assuming that you are investigating, and in investigating, you are looking for anything that is interesting and not mundane.
That's a 19.
Ooh.
20.
20. Wow. Well. Several things, narratively speaking, are interesting. As you explore this house, number one, it has absolutely been abandoned in a hurry. And by that, as you guys scour everything, it looks like whoever left here just grabbed some stuff and left. Because everything is kind of still there as if somebody had been living here. Like you find like random family knickknacks along the mantle of the fireplace. The dining room is still intact. The plates and bowls and mugs are all still on shelves, albeit very dusty. The cupboards in the kitchen are full of food stock that has rotted or has been torn open by mice and ruffled through. The kitchen's still stocked with all of the crockery, the cookware, and the utensils. All of these things are still there as if somebody had just left. Even upstairs in the bedrooms, like the bedding's all still there. Much of it is rotten. A lot of the roof on the second floor has leaks, so you see water damage from just time. But with your massive investigations, as you search around, in a nightstand next to one of the beds in the upstairs, you find a key. It is a silver key, and it is very peculiar. It has a very peculiar kind of fleur-de-lis flower kind of symbol on the one end of the key. And then the key itself is interesting because it has a horizontal and a vertical component. This looks like a very complex key with several interlocking incisions that seem to indicate it would open a complex lock. You also find a bunch of women's clothing. Most of it is just eaten up by insects.
Any kind of notes or anything?
No.
Durant,
No paintings, no family portraits, no books, no ledgers, no notes.
Durant is going to cast Detect Magic.
Oh, what's the radius on that?
I believe it's 30 feet. Let me just double check.
Okay. Ring. Number 1, Tuco's Scimitar. Number 2, that cool golden ring that's on your new wizard friend Humphrey's finger.
Do I know him to be a wizard yet?
No. Ring. That cool golden ring on the mysterious Humphrey's finger. Of course, any of the dwarven magic items, those all ring up as magic. What else? The key is not magic.
Yeah, it's 30 feet.
And you concentrate and walk around with that?
Yeah.
Okay. The whole second floor, you scour everything after finding this key. You go back down to the first floor. You're scouring everything again. But there's something below you.
I was going to say, are there any rugs or anything, or can we search the floors for maybe hidden trapdoors kind of thing? Or is that part of the investigation we already did?
It was.
Okay.
But Durant, you are absolutely certain that below the pantry is something magical that is enchanted.
Durant is going to pull out his crowbar.
Okay.
I like where this is going.
You start tearing up the floor.
I tap it first to see if I get any movement or anything from below.
Yeah, you don't hear anything.
All right. I'm going to pry up like one floorboard so I can maybe get a look below.
Okay.
Of
You
course, I
pry
don't
up a
have dark
floorboard.
vision.
Yep.
I don't have dark vision, so
You don't really need it because it only goes down about 3 feet. You basically see the crawl space underneath the house. And there's stone, like, gravelly kind of stone and dirt. And you see something kind of buried in the dirt. Your detect magic has led you to this.
So can I
Just roll that
not
feeling.
touch it, but do an investigation check?
Yes,
Mage hand?
you
Have
could.
one. So that's 20 dirty.
It looks like some kind of necklace, perhaps, or something with a chain that has been that was like maybe thrown down here and quickly covered up. Like it's clearly not like conscientiously buried. You know what I mean? Like it looks like somebody tried to like quickly kind of hide it maybe and just, scatter some dirt over it.
I gesture to Humphrey and I say, I think this might be more your thing than mine. But maybe tell me what you make of that. I didn't catch your name, by the way. What's your name?
Humphrey Humblebottom.
Right. You. Okay. You'd investigate that.
Okay, so it's an Arcana roll.
Humboldt, was it?
Yeah, Humboldt. You can call me Humboldt. We'll let him just keep going with this. So it's an Arcana check, I guess, Bill.
Yes.
Okay.
Are you lifting it out to examine it with Mage Hand?
Yeah, I want to mage hand this thing up a little bit in the air and then be like, what could this be? And then I think to myself as I realize I've got a 17 roll, and what do I come up with?
Here's what you come up with. Oh, come on.
It's a Horcrux.
Kind of. Hold on 1 second.
And by the way, those are some nice rings.
Well, I think it's just one ring, right?
Yeah, 1 ring.
Oh, thank you. I picked it up on my travels. Maybe over a pint we can talk about it further.
I will have to answer the question of what this is on the next episode of D&D with Dads because I can't get my notes to work. So tune in next time to find out what this strange object is that the group found underneath the old, sad, abandoned house. We'll see you on the next episode. Peace.
Well, hello, it's me, Wizzy. I'm back once again to remind you to subscribe and click on the notifications button, and also watch videos that are over there. And then don't forget to tune in to the next episode of whatever show you are just watching, and crafting videos and DM tips and pro tips for vlogging and all sorts of gaming things.